Hi FIN525 students. I have just created a rubric or a marking guide for the assessment of your assignment 2s, and I just thought I'd talk about assignment 2 using the marking guide as I go to sort of explain what I'm looking for and how I will be assessing your pieces of work. Now you've basically got to write 3 1,000 word, I don't like to use the word essay, but report, if you like, on each of the 3 main topics that you've studied already. Okay, so really the challenge here is, I guess, writing tightly because you've only got 1,000 words, and that sort of brings me to the first criteria I'll be assessing, which is your writing style. And I think it's really important at postgraduate level not just to get a handle on content, but to be able to communicate that well. Okay, so I'm pretty big on writing style as an attribute to be rewarded. You know, it is a skill to be able to write concisely and clearly, and I think that that should be rewarded in your assessments. So we can see there, and I'm pointing at it, that the first one is writing style, and you get a maximum of 3 marks. Now I should say I'll mark each of your assessments out of 10, just because it's easier for me to frame it out of a mark of 10, which then will give a total out of 30, which I bring back to 20%. Okay, so this is hence my breakup. Now obviously this relates to each assessment, so basically I'll be using this guide 3 times to assess each of the 3 reports that you'll be writing. So, writing style. What makes a high distinction a high distinction? Well, if we look over here at the high distinction box, we can see that it's written clearly and concisely. It has a logical progression of ideas and supporting information. In other words, I read through it once and know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, what makes a pass is that perhaps the content is sort of vague in conveying a point of view. In other words, I have to sort of reread passages to try and get an understanding of what point you're trying to make. You may not have used headings, it may be a little scrambled, so you may start an argument in one place, put another idea in there, and then go to a different argument. Those sorts of issues are what I'm looking for when I talk about writing style. As I said, maximum of 3 marks for that particular attribute in your assessment. Now the content is the next one. Actually, you know, the accuracy of what you're saying. And I actually think in this assessment item, the content is not the challenge. Okay, the content I think will fall straight out. So I don't think most people will have a problem with this particular attribute. But when we talk about a HD, information is accurate and current, and the key here is that you haven't included irrelevant information. Okay, you've only got 1,000 words, so you don't have the space to accurately and adequately cover the asked topic, let alone go and include something else. And I guess why I put that in there is that it's sort of an each way bet, including extra information. I'm not quite sure really what she wants, so I'll slap a bit of this in. And I guess that sort of, and that's how it reads to me, I guess. So, and hence why, even if you've written something beautiful and you've included some extra information, that'll put you down to a credit on that particular attribute. Okay? So I guess you just need to be aware to make it as tightly focused as you can on the question that I've asked or the issue that you're addressing. So a maximum of 2 marks for information, because I actually don't think that's where the challenge is in this assessment item. Now we come down to, I think, which will be the defining criteria, if you like, and that's the use of examples or scenarios. Okay, so in order to explain the idea to me, for example, of, you know, why banks are special, for example, I want you to explain it using some examples or arguments or illustrating what you are trying to say with some calculations. Okay, you need to support the argument, not just say banks are special because, show me why they are special. Okay, and that's really, I think, the thing that will set the high distinction student apart. And I've put in there that the students develop their own examples. So they haven't just taken one out of the study guide or the textbook, for example. They've developed their own numbers, or they've developed their own particular scenario or way of explaining it. And why I've put that there is that because that demonstrates a very superior level of understanding. To be able to understand it and then go and develop your own example really illustrates to me that you've got the handle on the issue. Okay? So, I mean, you still get a pass on that criteria if you've used appropriate ones from the text or study guide. Okay? But it will drop you from a high distinction to a pass on that particular criteria. So they're the three top ones are really about the content of this assessment. And the next two are more mechanical, I guess, in nature. And obviously you can see that's reflected in the marks. So a maximum of 1 mark for writing mechanics. In other words, I don't want to see something with errors, no capitals, no full stops, no punctuation. Okay? So if you've got a beautifully written, well supported in terms of your own developed examples, and you've got bad spelling and stuff in there, well, you lose a mark. Okay? No matter how perfect the rest of it was, you're going to lose a mark. And that the last one there is the sources of information and referencing. Now, this is a postgraduate subject. I think this is a gimme mark. Okay? You need to use in-text referencing when you've drawn an idea directly from a source. Certainly if you draw your examples from the text, they all need to be referenced in the text I'm reading. And it goes without saying that there's a reference list at the end of this assessment. Okay? And so again, a mark for that, which I'm sure everyone will receive. I have every confidence in your ability to do that by now. So I guess that's how I see this assessment. I don't see it in terms of difficulty in understanding the task or getting the information. The trick is going to be, not a trick, but the difficulty of the assessment is condensing the idea to 1,000 words, writing that clearly and concisely, and using some examples to back up your argument. Okay? The next assessment is very different to this one. That's where you can go out and source some information from the market. But this one is not the one to do that in, I guess is my point. I want to see some demonstration of writing skill, some organisation of ideas, and some evidence to me that you've really grasped the concepts in those first 3 topics. Okay guys, as always, I'm happy to talk to you individually about any issues that arise, so please contact me if there are anything that I haven't covered here and that you would like to know about. Okay, have a lovely weekend. Talk to you soon.